Hey guys, it is time for another CD review. Sorry, just adjusting the camera. This one's for Angels and Airwaves. We Don't Need to Whisper. I've done all the other albums that have been out so far, and I mean, people just really just wanted to hear what I had to say about those ones. So I mean, it's not like I really had any real reason to review them since most of them had been out for a while. And I really didn't plan on doing this one, but I've gotten a lot of people, or maybe even just the same person over and over again, really don't remember, asking for me to review this album. So I figured why not? If people want to hear what I got to say, I have no problem saying it. So, first song, Valkyrie Missile. I think it's a really good representation of the band, but I also feel like there's parts in the song that I wish there were more of in other songs. Like the last maybe like minute or so of the song just sounds so huge, and there's like a lot of like big guitars in it. And seeing as it was like one of the first songs that had leaked from Angels and Airwaves, like I expected more of the album to be like that. I mean, as we know now, a lot of it wasn't like that. But it's fine. I mean, it's not like I'm really gonna be bummed out about it. Um, but yeah, I think the last like minute of Valkyrie Missile is probably my favorite section of the whole album. It's just so good. It's just so big, and it just builds up to just like a big ending, and it's just really really good. Um, I am kind of glad there's no like album intro on this album. Let me see the other albums. Love had one. Love 2 didn't. Oh, and I Empire didn't. So yeah, only Love 1 did. Yeah, and I really wasn't a fan of that. Um, but I also like how this album didn't have like interludes or stuff, because I mean I have nothing against interludes if they're interesting, and for the most part they're just never interesting. So I mean, when you're looking at like some of the past albums, like what am I thinking of? Like Jumping Rooftops was pretty boring. The intro to True Love, The Star of Bethlehem, I feel like that was kind of pointless. I mean, I know like when they first released that song, it was like one big song, which I kind of liked better. Um, but since they made it into two different songs, I just ended up skipping it. Anyway, back to We Don't Need to Whisper. So, Valkyrie Missile, I think it's easily one of the stronger songs on the album. I mean, I don't love like the little, what is it, like the space talk or whatever, that like the little radio transmission stuff. It's just like, yeah, whatever. But the song as a whole, I think, is pretty great. Next song, Distraction. I used to be part of this Blink 182 message board, and I was still on there like right when this album was coming out, and I remember people really not liking this song too much, and I was actually really surprised, because at first, anyway, it was definitely one of my favorite songs from the album. Now, I mean, I'd probably say it's in like my second half for favorites. I mean, I don't think it's in my top five or anything from the album anymore, but I just love the way it builds up with just like the slow drum rolls, like getting really big. And I mean, the lyrics themselves are really simple, but I think that's definitely the style lyrics I like out of Tom. I don't know, just simple, but just like means a lot. So, I mean, he definitely does have some songs that the lyrics are kind of bad, but we'll get to that later, I guess. Um, yeah, overall, I mean, it's a long song for how repetitive it is, so I can see why some people might not like that so much. But overall, I mean, I think it's a a good song. I don't think there's really anything wrong with it. So, next song. This one is "Do It For Me Now." This one, this one I always saw as definitely something different from like the majority of the rest of the album. Um, I feel like it's one of like the softer songs, even though it really it isn't technically like a softer song, but it just gives that kind of vibe to it. I feel like if it was slowed down by like 10 beats per minute or something, and maybe not as much guitars, I feel like it would still sound uh, like it fit. You know what I mean? So, in that aspect, I think it's pretty cool. The guitars themselves are pretty cool. I do like the main like delay riff in that one. I mean, the other two songs that I talked about so far, I mean, like, the guitars were okay in it, but I mean, I feel like this was the first track so far that I feel like the guitars were fun. I mean, I mean, Valkyrie Missile's more fun on guitar than Distraction is, but I think Do It For Me Now is even more fun than both of those. So, and overall, I mean, I don't see really anything wrong with this one either. I mean, I could pretty much say that about all the songs. Um, I mean, overall, the album is pretty solid. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it my favorite album, just because I like a lot of other songs on different albums more than this one. But I feel like this album as a whole is probably better than all the other albums, because I mean, this album, I feel like there's not a single song that's really skippable or that I'd skip a lot. I mean, maybe It Hurts, maybe Good Day, I'd skip sometimes. But the other albums each have at least like a couple songs where I'm just like, whatever, I'll skip it, you know. So I feel like this album as a whole is definitely better than the other ones. All right, this one is The Adventure. This song, I still remember the day that I first heard this, because, you know, it leaked online. I was at my mother's house, and, you know, I was still bummed at that time about Blink breaking up and just confused about everything. And I remember hearing this and being okay with the fact that Blink had broken up after I heard this. I was like, holy shit. Like, it was something fresh, it was something new. Granted, you know, this has been out for 10 years and they've already had, you know, 4 albums or whatever. And maybe it's not so fresh anymore, but I remember at the time it fucking blew me away. And I thought it was some of the coolest shit I've ever heard, especially out of Tom. But even just in general, and I even remember my dad freaking loved it too. Still does. Yeah, the guitars are great. Lyrics, I mean, they're a little cheesy, but when aren't Tom's lyrics cheesy? But yeah, I really like that song for sure, and I still remember. I remember like it was freaking yesterday, like seeing stills for the music video before it came out and being like super confused that Tom didn't have a guitar in the picture and only David did, and I'm like, oh my god, is he not playing guitar anymore and stuff like that, and I was just really confused, and but you know, just a great song in general. I mean, I still love that song. I will say I actually kind of like the longer version of it that was released first, or maybe not first, but there was one with just like a longer intro that I actually liked, and it's not on the CD I have anyway. It just kind of goes in pretty quickly to the rest of the song. So next song is A Little's Enough. Drink break. This one might be my favorite on the whole album, as a whole. The guitars themselves are, you know, they're simple, but they really work. And I always really loved the lyrics. You know, as lame as it is, it was this song was always like one of those things that I always had in like my instant messenger profiles, shit like that, and I still remember that. And I don't know. I mean, the lyrics are definitely a little cheesy, but there's certain parts of the song that I really really like. I like the chorus of it a lot. Um, I don't know. It just gives a really really good mood to it, and not good as in just like a good mood, but just good as just like a really really distinct. I feel like even to this day, there's not a lot of songs like A Little's Enough. The only one I could really compare to it is maybe um, Lifeline. Lifeline reminds me of A Little's Enough a little bit. But yeah, I really like that song a lot. The next song is The War. Sorry, I'm a little phlegmy at the moment. Um, the War was definitely one of the first songs that I liked a lot, and even I still remember like my sister liked it a lot, and my dad liked it a lot, and I was actually kind of surprised that this kind of became the big Angels and Airwaves song, like their big closer, um, which was cool. I mean, I had nothing really against it, but I was kind of surprised they didn't stick with like a single like The Adventure. Um, but yeah, he always just made this like the big finisher, which was cool. But I'm surprised they never really made it like a single or anything like that. What were the singles on this album? The singles were Adventure, Do It For Me Now. That might have been it. Now that I think of it, I don't even know if there was a third one. Um, there was the War single. I don't know. I'm getting old. Um, but yeah, this song was definitely really cool. The lyrics weren't bad. They weren't like super cheesy or anything like that. The chorus is huge, which is really cool. The guitar is really fun to play, but still simple at the same time. Um, when they're playing it live, like that first chorus, they usually don't even, or Tom usually doesn't even sing the first chorus, which is kind of weird, which always kind of bugged me. Um, and like I kind of feel like he wishes he did that in the studio version. Um, but we'll never know, I guess. Um, but yeah, that's definitely interesting. I always wondered about that if he wanted to just, if he wished he could go back and make that first chorus just instrumental, but whatever. Oh, good lord. All right, the next one is The Gift, and this is another one I definitely liked a lot when it first came out, and it's really lighthearted. It's just a very loving song. And even my girlfriend at the time, well, she wasn't my girlfriend at the time it came out, but maybe like a year or two later, she really liked it too, and she was really into it. And I remember like this was the song that she always associated like with us or whatever. And so at the time, like I had a pretty big connection with the song. And granted, now I can't listen to the friggin' thing without thinking of her, but it's still a really cool song in general. I really like the pre-chorus a lot with the guitar, with the delay and stuff. I love that part. Um, and that's about all I really have to say about that one. I mean, it's just another pretty solid song. It Hurts. This is a song that I like and I don't like at the same time. I mean, it's not bad, but there's just something about it that I don't know. I don't love. Like he's saying it hurts like 32 times, like each section or something like that. It's ridiculous, and it's I don't know. I feel like parts of it could be done a little bit better. I feel like the lyrics aren't amazing. What was one line? Something about. I have to look it up. I don't even remember. You dug yourself into a liar's hole. What's a liar's hole? I mean, I kind of get what he's saying, but I feel like he could have made that make a little bit more sense. Sometimes he just kind of makes things try and make sense, then doesn't really work. So I don't know. But I mean, the song as a whole, I mean, it's definitely different from a lot of the rest of the album. Like some of the songs on the album kind of blend together a little bit at first, anyway. But I feel like that one always stood out as different, which I like. And next song is "Good Day." I remember this was the second song that leaked after the adventure, and I definitely didn't like it as much as the adventure, but I really liked the what's the word I'm thinking of? It just like the overall like feel of the song was just really cool, even though the lyrics are probably the worst on the whole album. The chorus especially. I think I like Today. I think it's good. Whatever else he says, I don't even remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I just like. I love the instrumental section of this whole song. Probably one of the best on the album, in my opinion. But the lyrics themselves, I don't really love that much. But I feel like he got a really cool sound overall for this song. And finally, sort of, Start the Machine. I really like that he did the toy piano on it, and I think that really made the song unique, which is really cool. Um, I don't remember if it was ever confirmed that this song was about the breakup of Blink. I'm pretty sure it was, um, but I definitely always liked this song a lot. I liked the lyrics in it, even though it did sound a little angry, which isn't really a bad thing. I mean, I like a lot of angry songs. Um, but yeah, I mean, all I remember is people always arguing about whether or not this was about Blink or not, and it was kind of annoying just to hear everybody argue about it. Um, and it's, I mean, you could call it a song of the album or not, but if you haven't heard it, definitely check out The Machine, which is just a different version of Start the Machine with just more guitars and just like a different like rearranging of the song. If you haven't heard it, it's really cool. I actually haven't heard it in a long time, but it's definitely worth listening to. So overall, I mean, I still think the album is great. I mean, I don't really think it's something that I've outgrown. I mean, I outgrow albums all the time. Um, People are always asking me, "Oh, what do you think of this album?" And I'll be like, "Oh, well, I liked it when it came out, and I don't really care for it anymore." But I mean, I feel like this album I'll pretty much always love. I think. Um, like I said, I don't know if I'd really call it my favorite album, but I do feel like front to back, it's probably the more consistent of an album, as far as just good songs overall. I mean, there's definitely songs on other albums that I like more than these ones, but these ones, even like the worst songs on this album, in my opinion, are still a lot better than some of the other songs it's put out, like Anxiety or Dry Your Eyes, stuff like that. So, um, overall, I think it's a great album, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the new album that's out in like a week and a half or something like that. Not even a week and a half. So, um, curious to see what you guys think of my thoughts on this one. I mean, I, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say right now. But yeah, I'll definitely be reviewing the new album. I don't know if I said that already, because I'm kind of losing it right now. But yeah, so let me know what you think. If let me know what you think of the album, and if you have any other suggestions for album reviews or anything like that, send me a comment or something. This album is or this video is definitely evidence of the fact that if you annoy me with something enough times, I'm more likely to do it. So let me know. So thanks for watching.